Sorry, I'm saving all my weird energy for my answer, so... Open your mouth, prepare your tongue, because you're about to get a taste.
I cannot believe we've gone 12 episodes without me being able to talk about Final Fantasy.
Well, I know the doll is bad, so I gotta think the Dusty Balloon is less bad.
I mean, if all life everywhere ends, what have I lost?
Facial hair as a theme is not something I ever would have chosen.
So yeah, that's the one that Rock is just sweaty the whole time.
He's got that good pointy Jafar beard.
I've got 3 pages of AMA citations.
This is the Debate This podcast.
Hello and welcome to Debate This, the show where no one is right, but someone is definitely wrong. In this podcast, we take time out of our busy adult lives to talk about comics, video games, and how Norman Reedus will now be the next addition to Super Smash Bros.
Will he have his weird baby fetus that allows him to see invisible monsters?
Is that what the baby fetus does?
Whoa, you've played more of Death Stranding than I have.
I've only watched like 12 minutes of gameplay.
That's exactly 12 minutes more than I have.
The latest character release snuck up on me, so when I saw Terry will be the new fighter in Super Smash Bros., my mind immediately went to Terry Crews.
That'd be awesome.
I was only disappointed.
Is it just me, or does that game not look fun?
Death Stranding?
I
I like to watch movies. Watching movies is fun.
Right. Well, exactly.
What game is it?
Death Stranding.
Death Stranding. Where the opening joke is from.
Oh,
Well, we're doing a podcast about video games.
that all missed me, so good.
Okay, Kyle.
All right, well then.
Hi, guys. I'm here.
Great. So, about a month and a half ago, we sent 2 of our nerds to Portland to go talk to other like-minded nerds about retro video games. We also sent those 2 nerds with a mission. Find a topic for an episode divisive enough to rock the floors of the Portland Retro Gaming Expo.
And we didn't talk about Death Stranding.
Well,
They did rock the floors, though.
Luckily, our nerds came through, and tonight we present you that episode. The question was picked by us, but the answers were picked by you, if you were on the floors of PRGE and you found our booth. Joining me to fight for the people's choices are Kyle, Visit the Clown Room Harper, Todd, Be the Big Spoon Thomas, and Andrew, Rin a Hot Tub by the Hour Henderson.
What's
Wait,
What's this one?
you're right, Matt?
So, this is all things that you can do in Portland. I wanted this to be a very Portland-themed episode, so I Googled things to do in Portland, and the very first link was, I think, from, Ranker, and it was 56 weird things to do in Portland to keep your trip Portland weird, or something like that. Yeah, and all of these are very real, legitimate businesses, or things that you can do in Portland.
I want to be on the record. Andrew and I only did 2 out of these 3.
Yes.
But we're not going to tell you which 2.
The answer may surprise you.
If Be the Big Spoon is different than the common terminology we're used to, and where you're okay,
It's not.
It literally just means cuddling someone and being the big spoon.
There's a place in Portland where you can pay someone to cuddle with you, and you can be the big spoon or the little spoon.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's kind of nice.
Is it?
I don't know how I feel about that.
That's wholesome or creepy. I can't tell.
That's something I'm sure people who don't have social anxiety really enjoy.
It's one or the other, and it's not anywhere in the middle. It's wholesome or creepy.
Oh.
All right, I'm done talking about weird Portland things. Guys,
That's what you think.
when you think about open world RPGs, you probably think of games like Breath of the Wild and The Witcher, or The Outer Worlds and Skyrim, or maybe even EVE Online and Minecraft. When you think about RPGs, you probably think of words like exploration, immersion, inventory management, character creation, and class lists. When you think about RPGs, you almost certainly don't think of 8-bit, 2D arcade cabinets in the back of a stuffy old pizza joint.
Don't tell me what I think.
Well, today, my dudes, I want you to confuse your brains and satiate Portland's need for the weird by telling me which classic arcade games deserves a gritty open world RPG update.
All right, let's do it.
Sorry, I'm saving all my weird energy for my answer, so...
There's gonna be a lot of weird energy today.
It's good. Yeah, it's super weird energy. I said off this call that anytime I scroll through the show notes and see something, it was the year 20XX. Anytime there are letters in the year, I know it's going to be a weird episode. Anyway, guys, what games are you taking wild, gross, unnerving creative liberties with? And since literally none of these games had anywhere near enough plot to fill up the 200 hours of game time that a modern RPG calls for, give us a synopsis of the new game of the year. Kyle, we'll start with you.
All right. Let me set a scene here for you.
We should get a RPG trope bingo card going.
Oh yeah. Yeah, if you're playing at home, we'll put that up on our Twitter when we release the episode, and you guys
the free space is Betrayal.
Yes.
All right. You wake up, and it's the morning of your 16th birthday. You're in a little village, little mountain village, and you're excited because you are finally old enough to become a squire and begin your journey to knighthood. Your father, a renowned general in the king's army, has returned to town to witness your rider's ceremony and take you on as his personal squire. You begin your rider's ceremony, a tradition in your town where you climb the nearest mountain and capture and tame what will be your mount for your squire's journey to knighthood. You climb this mountain, you complete your trial, and you bring your new ostrich mount down the mountain and take your oath into squiredom. You are now a squire sworn to assist your knight to protect the king's realm and avenge them should they fall. As the ceremony ends, a horrible screech breaches the sky, and a flock of pterodactyls appear over the mountains and attack your village. Having just taken your oath, you assume your role. You hand your father's legendary lance. He's taken with him in countless victories. You mount your ostrich and prepare for battle.
Kyle, did you just write Dragon Quest 11? Because I'm pretty sure this is Dragon Quest 11.
I have not played Dragon Quest 11, so any similarities between my game and the plot of Dragon Quest 11 are merely coincidental. As you make your way towards the approaching flock, a massive pterodactyl breaks out of the formation, clearly like the leader of this group. It makes a beeline for you and your father. It swoops down and attacks. You're knocked from your mount, and you see your father lashing out against the beat, fighting valiantly, but not winning. There's a flash of teeth, kind of lose sight of your father, but you hear a sickening crunch, feel a splash of blood across your face. You see your father's lifeless body in the pterodactyl's jaws as the massive beast rises to the sky and takes off for its nest with its fresh meal.
What an opening.
Metal.
Yeah.
As your hand finds the shaft of your father's lance left in the ruins, you take back your seat on your ostrich. Your vow of vengeance rings fresh in your head as the screen blacks out and the title page fades in. Joust.
I love it.
An ostrich riding adventure platformer.
Oh boy. Oh man. I briefly for a second forgot that what we're doing today is taking retro games and making them an RPG.
It's very silly.
I was really in it for a second. Man, this is great.
So that's the opening to the gritty RPG remake of the classic arcade game Joust.
It's very good ham-fisting those fucking ostriches in that very serious
I feel
story.
like when you're typing this up, at some point you're like, oh, there's got to be an ostrich reveal, and here it is.
There's
Okay.
like 4 key things about the original game Joust, because it was a 2D arcade game that had like no graphics, no mechanics, and a button and a joystick. So I definitely had to keep the ostrich. The ostrich mount.
So it was really funny that you've never played Dragon Quest, because honestly, like, you just described the first 30 minutes of Dragon Quest 11. It's like
Nice.
You wake up, it's like your 18th birthday. You have to go and do the usual JRPG become a man trial, which is your training.
Right.
And you have to climb a mountain and you get attacked by a pterodactyl.
Man, that's a
all
real
those
bummer that it's a straight rip, because I mean, the tropes of JRPGs don't leave a lot of wiggle room.
No, there's
anyway.
7 games that have been created in the last 20 years. But I would say yours is definitely way better because the Dragon Quest story is just like the pterodactyl attacks and you're fine, and everyone just goes down to the mountain and they're cool. So this is way better.
Good. Yeah, this is a tale of revenge and finding yourself.
And semi-flightless birds.
I don't know if ostriches are semi-flightless. In this continuity, they are certainly not and can fly a lot, because that's going to be important later. But I'll stop hogging the time and let Todd tell us about his bad game.
Part of the definition of like flight, I think, in a bird is even a little bit of flight. Like the slightest amount of flight makes a bird ability to fly.
Flightsome.
Okay, Todd, go ahead.
You can't. All right. Thanks for that. That's you saying flightsome is the weird energy of this podcast. So that's fine. All right. So I'm also going to paint a picture for you because this was one that we talked a lot about in Portland. So the scene opens overlooking a destroyed town. Gray smoke hovers over destroyed buildings. There we see a man, burn marks on his coat, a cut on his leg, and a gun strapped to his back. He is cleaning bright green blood off of a serrated knife. Curled up beside him, you see a large anaconda named Coily. It is resting after its most recent meal.
Does it want none unless you got buns, hun?
Ew.
It might.
The anaconda? Sorry, go on. Our listeners will get that.
As the camera focuses in, you see the hulking remains of a lifeless bipedal monster. You were too late to save the town, but this Q won't be hurting anyone else. Just then, your cell phone rings. It's Slick and Sam from HQ calling in another sighting.
Slick and Sam.
They give coordinates, and they don't need to give details. The story is always the same. It's another Q sighting, and Coily and we need to handle it. It's unknown if we'll be fast enough to rescue any survivors, but one thing's for sure. We must kill the Q-Bert before it's too late. So, to give you this picture, so you control the protagonist. His name is Quentin Bertram, a retired Navy SEAL on a mission to eradicate the Qs, or at least that's what you call them, after they attacked your town of Quark years ago. It was then that this house-sized orange biped took everything from you. It killed, your wife, killed you had a family, because that's the way this goes. And then that was when you teamed up with UGG Industries' main R&D officers, Slick and Sam, to hunt the Qs down.
Like UGG Industries of like the boots.
The boots
fame?
with the fur. It's spelled the same way.
All right, we've had snakes and boots. We're halfway there.
Just put them together.
So you were hired by UGG Industries, and you work with their main research and development officers, Slick and Sam. And you were also followed by this pet anaconda that you found after the first Q sighting. His name is Coily. So Quentin receives calls from Slick and Sam about Q sightings and hopes to find the Alpha, codenamed Q-Bert, and end the nightmare plaguing our land once and for all. The title that comes in, it just says Q-Bert. And the tagline that we're selling it with is 2 legs, no survivors.
Oh boy.
So I've done a lot with very little today, so get ready.
So wait, Todd, have you played Q-Bert before?
Yes.
Okay, so you know that Q-Bert is normally the protagonist.
Oh, I'm very well aware. After a full 9 hours in Portland telling people that I think Q-Bert could be an eldritch horror, a cryptid from the wilderness, and we need to stop it, and being filled with too much caffeine, that was my weird energy of Portland, and I'm bringing it here because I think it's too good.
Did you over caffeinate today to get in the same mind space?
Did I have what?
Did you over caffeinate today to get into the same mind space, Todd?
That's the secret, Kyle. I'm always over-caffeinated.
Stop.
We were 3 steps away from Charlie, Kelly, Pepe Sylvia. Just like, you got Q-Bert. You got another guy. He's gonna. Yeah. It was that.
So yes, I'm very aware that the boundary pushing 3-dimensional game of Q-Bert where you hop on the colors and that's how you complete it is not what I'm giving you. It's very different. But I think this is what 2019 needs. Outer Worlds, more like get out of worlds. We got Q-Bert.
I'm not gonna justify that.
That's probably the best marketing tagline.
Does the main gameplay still involve turning areas of space from one color to another color? Is that how you defeat?
we just ripped the skin off of what the Q-Bert game was. We took like the characters and said we can't do. It wasn't gonna be
none
like
of
turn-based,
the game.
It wasn't gonna be turn-based combat. We're not doing that.
Can I jump in here, Todd? Because I have a really good idea. There's a little Easter egg when you go to the multiplayer conquest menu.
Yes.
Every time you take an enemy base, you change your color.
Yeah. That's
and then
fair.
You just go down the pyramid of the bases.
Yeah, that's fine. The only reason I think I would have strayed against that idea is because that reminds me too much of what was the Lord of the Rings game where you
Shadow of War.
Shadows of War.
Yeah, the most recent one, where you had to like control all the different bases and it got really grindy, and that makes me hate everything.
That's where my brain went.
So yeah, take the good parts of that. Yeah.
All right. Great. I like that your Q-Bert game is as related to Q-Bert as the Battleship movie was related to Battleship.
Yep.
I like that. Let's get the other.
Liam Neeson didn't say, "You sunk my battleship," and I will never forgive the makers of that movie for that egregious oversight.
There's literally one reason to make a Battleship movie, and it's that.
All right.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's go ahead and get the other half of the weird Portland energy in this answer. Andrew, go ahead.
Weird Portland energy. Okay. I got to do a bit first.
Of course you do.
The year is 21XX.
There it is.
Humanity is on the brink of extinction.
As it does.
The few of us who survived the surfacing were driven underground, forced to live like rats in glorified tunnels. There is no government, no law, no order. All of us just do what we need to do to get by each day. It's been 40 years now since that day, and while the creatures above ground are our oppressors, it's the ones below who are the real monsters.
I really like 10 Cloverfield Lane. It was a really good follow-up to Cloverfield.
I thought so too. All right, let me walk you through the overall plot. So you play as Tsuji Yamamoto, an orphan who grew up in one of the last remaining organized underground colonies called Hori City. Your whole life you lived in poverty, hopeful that you will one day make your mark and live alongside those who rule the city. Among those is your childhood friend Takada Hori, the son of Susumu Hori, aka Mr. Driller from the game Mr. Driller, and grandson of the hero Taizo Hori. And as its name suggests, Taizo Hori founded the city after the fallout of the surfacing and established it as a safe haven.
Does his name suggest that? Is that what his name suggests?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, as the name Hori City suggests.
Okay. All right. I get it. I'm sorry. I missed that part of the world build.
You got caught on Taizo when it was Hori City you should have been focusing on.
In this lawless world, Hori City is one of the few places where the laws of the old world still apply, although many have forgotten the ways of the past. So on his 18th birthday, Tsuji is sent on a routine scouting mission to raid a deserted raider camp to secure food and supplies. But we find very quickly the camp is not deserted, and Tsuji is quickly overpowered by the raiders. He wakes up captive. The rest of his team has abandoned him. But we find that these are not your typical raiders. Tsuji learns that the raiders are actually a team of freedom fighters who have organized together to fight back against the monsters. But, as we learn more importantly, against Hori City. And because you see, you see Taizo was not the hero that people make him out to be. The surfacing was not actually a random occurrence. The monsters surfaced and took over in retaliation of the Dig Dug incident.
Oh, God.
more of this is in Dig Dug canon than I would like to admit.
Dig Dug canon is best canon.
Yep. Hori caused an all-out war between humans and the then peaceful monsters by committing near-mass genocide of the Puka and Fygar races. That's the thing that happened.
Let
us know when you're making new content and not rehashing the Dig Dug lore, the deep Dig Dug lore.
Not. This is the first new piece of content. It's revealed that you, Tsuji Yamamoto, are actually the illegitimate child of Ataru Hori, Taizo's estranged eldest son. So, will you trust these mysterious freedom fighters who seem to know everything about you, or will you pledge yourself to the Hori family and inherit your birthright? Introducing Doug the Collapse.
Man.
Good.
Did you like that weird energy?
I love it.
It's some weird energy.
Sure is.
I don't know what energy I thought I'd feel in this podcast, but I'm feeling it.
I made up. Do you want to guess how many of those names I made up?
Is it less than 50%?
I want to do this away and say take the over under 3 names.
I'm going to say none.
I made up one of those names.
Okay.
I made up one of those names.
Jesus.
What was the one name that you made up?
Tsuji Yamamoto, the main character. So Taizo Hori is the main character of Dig Dug, apparently.
Who knew?
And Mr. Hori had 3 children, all of whom went to star in either versions of the Mr. Driller series. No, his 3 children are in the Mr. Driller series, and his now divorced wife was in a separate Namco action game. And the Namco wiki specifically calls out that he was married for a brief time, quote unquote.
Wow.
Oh.
Wow.
They don't get into like what happened there, but there definitely some love lost.
Andrew is in the game,
but it's world building.
But there was an intern who was in the brainstorm meeting for this Namco cabinet, and he updated the wiki this year.
He sure did.
So I guess to break character for a second, this is what we got from Portland. We asked the question, what retro video game would best be made into a gritty 2019 RPG? And Portland decided that the 3 best answers were Joust, Q-Bert, and Dig Dug. So that's what we're going on today.
And they were right. Those were the 3 best.
Yeah, let's get that clear.
They're phenomenal answers. I'm very happy with them. Also, as we have made clear in this podcast before, I write out all the questions and then I read them word for word before I look at the answers that you put in.
That's my favorite. Because you're going to tell us how good our plots are, aren't they?
Well, no. So this prompt is, all right, I hear your plots. I want to be clear that I do not like them, but I do hear them. And to be honest, I'm kind of into all 3 of these games right now. I'm still on the train.
We did a good, guys.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll fuck it up at some point.
We can still trip before the finish line.
It's always after the second question that we fall apart and go to
I haven't read
complete.
my script yet, so.
Oh, Jesus.
Boy.
Yeah. Well, and it is always true that I like the storyline of RPGs more than I like about anything else with RPGs. So now go ahead. I've heard the plots. Tell me what mechanics make this game an RPG. How are you going to take a game with 2 buttons and map it onto a modern day controller? And how are you going to beef up the play of this game to keep the gamers entertained? Whether it's crafting, whether it's turn-based combat, whether it's inventory management, tell me how you are RPG-ifying your cabinet. Kyle.
All right. So our Joust RPG is going to be a real-time sword, shield, projectile, magic-based combat, similar to your Skyrims and other such, your Fables and other such games. However, the twist or the key mechanic is that your fight advantages and disadvantages will be determined by the height and angle at which you attack your enemy, as it was in the original as it was in the original Joust. So the original Joust had a similar thing to like Mario, where if you rammed into enemies from on top of them, they died, and if they hit you on top, you died. So that's my other callback to the original game is you get an advantage if you are attacking your enemy from above, and they get an advantage if you're below, and there will be fun you play with that. You have enemies that flip that, where you only get the advantage if they attack below. Yada yada, all that fun crap. So that's my fight mechanic. Is that it's the normal like hack and slash RPG, except you've got to really use your ostrich to maneuver around your enemies to get that right advantage on them.
It's over, Anakin. I have the higher ground.
Yep, you got it. So, as you progress through the game, you'll have to learn to master the jump, crouch, and flight capabilities of your ostrich mount to properly reach their weak points and protect yourself from your enemies. In addition, as you progress, you will find better weapons, sturdier armor, stronger wards, and buffs. But the real decision-making will be in filling out your ostrich mount's expansive skill tree. I want to make clear this is going to be an intense, strategic skill tree that you are...
This is my favorite Final Fantasy game.
filling out. You'll craft your fighting style with skill paths like jump, speed, flight, and beak to build your squire into your own unique knight.
So I have a question. Because all RPGs come with a character creator, does the character creator give you the opportunity to like personalize your ostrich mount, or is it just one ostrich mount that everybody plays on and you just create your character?
I think it's not, you don't create your ostrich mount, but you can pick from the ostriches available on the mountain when you climb it during the tutorial. So you'll get a few different base stats to choose from for your ostrich, but
it's like Red Dead Redemption.
Yes.
You get a horse, and some horses just better than other horses.
Yes.
Kyle, important question.
Important answer.
What do you name the ostrich? What do you name your ostrich?
You can name your ostrich whatever you want. My personal ostrich is going to be Beak Lively.
All right.
All right.
That got Todd pretty well.
that was really good. All I could think was like, I think I would like, what's a good pop culture? Maybe I just call it Pauly Shore. Like, that's pretty good. And then, so my head is on like thinking about Pauly Shore as it is, and for you to say Beak Lively, that's super good.
Oh boy. All right. Good, Kyle. I don't hate that as much as I was afraid I would. Todd, go ahead. What do you got?
So the gameplay in my game, in this Q-Bert, 2 legs, no survivors, is that... So it's going to land somewhere between this triangle of Fable 2, the newest God of War game, and then Shadow of the Colossus. Like, those are the 3, the peanut butter and the jelly and the slices of bread that we're doing. And so I'm looking for big battles, dynamic settings, fully immersive encounters with building-sized monsters with varying abilities, and you must always be careful to never be caught in their stomp zones. Because aside from each one of them having a different special ability to attack you with, they be stomping. And so...
Can you not just avoid the stomp as you see the giant foot coming at you?
Oh, you can, but I mean, some of these are like skyscraper-sized beings. I mean, that was the thing in Shadow of the Colossus. You could ride a horse and not get stepped on, but like you still got to worry about being stepped on.
Gotcha.
So for each Q that you kill, each mission you complete, each innocent person you save, each side quest you complete, or each collectible you find nets you bonus points to spend at the Q shop for upgrades. So you can upgrade your armor to increase your passive stats. You can upgrade your hunting knife and your gun for melee and range buffs accordingly. And much like Kyle, you can get upgrades for Coily for various support abilities in his, you guessed it, expansive skill tree.
Yeah.
So, and additionally, Q blood and flesh, they're harvestable materials, and they're quite valuable. So the 3-star upgrades that you need to complete your full set of gear for the end game, they come from boss drops. So that encourages you to rerun the levels in themed instances at higher difficulties, because the gear grind portion has to be there because it's what the gamers crave.
Hey, Todd, I have an important question.
Yes.
Are these drops random?
Yeah, they are random drops. The better loot, to get the better loot, you have to play harder levels and time trial attack. So you can play through the whole game, just much like what Shadow of the Colossus did. You can go through and play it and love it. And then if you want the good stuff, though, you got to beat it on hard mode and you got to beat it fast.
I was so into the package you were selling me. I was there. And then you just it was like, you're like, look at all this shit you enjoy. Get away from it. Go away.
and then you said random drops, and Matt's mind just went out.
I want to make it clear that you can still beat the game and upgrade your stuff to, incredible godlike abilities by just playing it. But if you want the super secret hidden gear, you have to. You have to beat it on the hardest setting in the time trial. That's just the way that it is.
It's the only way you can get a sparkly sword.
If I know where Matt's coming from, and I think I do, it's just the mere idea that just playing the game won't let him get all the goodies. He's got to get good. That keeps him from wanting to play it.
Listen, what we won't have is day one DLC. We're not doing that because that's cheap.
Is there $100 a year membership that I have to pay?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Everything is free day one. The only time we're ever getting involved again is going to be for seasonal instances that come free to the community and random patches when necessary.
I want you to know, Matt, all my DLC is fully fleshed out, new content and storylines in Joust.
It's really just that the words gear grind hit my tongue like vinegar. I heard it and I immediately wanted to vomit. Just immediately.
Okay, listen, to play Majora's Mask, you didn't need to get all the masks to get the Fierce Deity mask and just smoke all the bosses after drinking Lon Lon milk and powering up your magic to the top, but you did it because it made you feel powerful. And if you were like me, you were overweight and didn't have friends. So I'm just saying, there's a game to play, and then there's another layer of game that you didn't have
to. You didn't have to dodge 200 lightning bolts in Final Fantasy X to get the ultimate weapon for Lulu that you never use because you never use Lulu. But I did it because of the reasons that Todd cited earlier.
Because the sword looks cool.
Because the sword looks cool.
I will take this instant to remind the listening audience that I have not played Majora's Mask or Final Fantasy X. Andrew, go ahead.
I was pretty sure the Majora's Mask reference was going to fall on deaf ears for Matt.
Yeah.
So good job there, Todd.
It super did. Andrew, go ahead. Tell me more about Doug.
Okay. So I should preface this by saying I've been playing a lot of the Outer Worlds recently. So this you're going to see the influences here.
I was going to say, your opening with a civilization of freedom fighters in a city is already the first hour of Outer Worlds. So here we are.
That's right.
That was just Red Faction guerrilla warfare.
That's a good game.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, other good games. Let's talk about Doug. So Doug.
No, Matt, we're gonna get copyright struck.
Yeah, we might.
Nickelodeon's litigious lawyers will strike us down.
Doug: The Collapse is a first-person shooter with RPG mechanics.
Hell yeah!
So like your Fallouts, your Outer Worlds, absolutely.
Hell yes.
But instead of guns, you're going to be armed with an arsenal of Horico rapid air infuser devices, or raids.
Oh, baby, I love me a good acronym.
Hell yeah. Upon contact, the raid is designed to pacify any hostile with a quick series of pressurized bursts of air. And why not?
Very good.
Thank you. And with the oxygen level low underground, each raid unit has been modified to deliver a smaller controlled burst of pure oxygen to the user, which can provide a much needed second wind in combat. So this is your VATS, basically.
Good.
So you're shooting with air, and then you take a huff of oxygen and time slows down.
Nice.
So going a little back to the plot, but this is how the plot kind of rolls into the mechanics. So Suji's role in this world is ultimately up to you. But regardless of what path you take, it will inevitably culminate in you leading an army up to the surface to fight back against your monster oppressors. So who you align with and who you place in power, or eventually will place in power, are all your decision. So obviously exploration as an open world RPG is a key component. Most of what you're going to be doing is exploring the underground, capital T, capital U, a complex series of Fallout very heavy here. A complex series of tunnels and caves leading to the numerous settlements and outposts scattered about. You're going to come across a number of different factions, all with their own, colorful leaders and enigmatic presence, and you can choose to align with them or align against them. But note that these factions are at war with each other, so it's up to you to convince everyone to either get along. It's up to you to convince everyone to get along to some degree, either through diplomacy or sheer force. So, since this is a post-apocalyptic wasteland, there's defo going to be crafting. Yay!
Yay!
We love crafting. Scavenging what you find and combining junk with other scraps of junk is the absolute key. And then there's going to be a point, so similar to Fallout, when you get your power armor, there's the power armor moment when you make your first venture up to the surface. Another capital T, capital S. So that's your end game equipment. Your power armor, all your best items are up by stealing stuff from the surface. So those are the end bosses. The toughest enemies are going to be above the surface. That's it. That's what I
got. How expansive are your skill trees?
This is a Fallout type RPG, so it's going to be pretty streamlined because we need to get people like Matt, kind of down to play, because we're basically tricking him into playing an RPG without him knowing it.
I think every RPG that I've played has done exactly that. So yeah, you hit the nail on the head there. This is great too, because I really wanted to play the Outer Worlds, but I definitely wasn't going to buy a system to play it on. And now I feel like I have, so that's awesome.
It's on Switch.
Is it on Switch?
It's not
Switch.
Yeah, I don't think it
Outer
is
Worlds isn't on Switch until 2020.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I just looked it up because I want to play it, and I saw Switch in the list.
It's very, very good. One kind of delineation, that I took, and we might get there later, so I won't reveal it yet. But one of the things that I was thinking was there's always like a zombie level in Fallout. So I thought of a way, like I thought it'd be cool with the little raid, like the air pump, to be in like a stealth zombie mission where you're like, think about like you're underground, you're in like dimly lit areas. It's kind of like Doom 3, where you're like only lit by a flashlight or like a single source of light. And there's all these like zombies popping up, and you have to pump them through a full of air to blow them up.
Which is such an archaic way of killing anything.
We can't have guns underground. Guns might lead to a cave-in of all these systematically carved out tunnels.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Which is something I just made up right now.
Why not use the weaponized bike pump?
Weaponized air won't lead to a cave-in at all.
It's fine.
It's completely different.
I know this isn't what you're going for, Andrew, but I keep thinking of those. They were popular when we were in high school. Those air guns, those air Zookas. It was like the big plastic thing with the handle, and you'd pull back and it'd go thunk, and it would shoot just like a small blast of air.
Your friend would fart in it, and then you'd shoot the fire across the room.
No, my friends and I never really weaponized farts, but there you go.
That's your rocket launcher.
Oh boy.
It makes that stupid noise.
Yeah.
This whole question just brought me back to our stream where every 15 minutes in Ultimate Alliance, I would have to get up and walk away while you guys menued for 20 minutes.
Oh my god.
There's so much about RPGs that I hate, and menuing is one of those things. And every time I hear skill tree, I just think of looking at a menu for half an hour.
Can I say this at least about skill trees? Like, it at least is a thing that you choose, like, oh, this is going to add to my attack. Got it. That's good. I spent the points. I'm done. I'm out. Whereas all the other shit we played in, menus Marvel Edition was more of like much more grindy.
That was so rote. I'll spend 5 seconds to defend Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. It is way better on solo run. Like we've kind of been talking off mic.
Which is a crime.
Which is a crime because that game should be good multiplayer. But the menuing is, the skill tree stuff is awful. Like it's just like, you get how many levels, you put the ball in the basket. Like, it's just so rote. It sucks.
Yeah.
It super sucks.
All right. Well, anyway, that part of the discussion was for Daddy. Moving back to the content of this episode, the guys upstairs want to know how this is all going to play out. They're afraid to fund this project without seeing some sort of plot play out in the end. Describe the final cutscene of this game to me. What's the twist ending that we definitely didn't see coming 75 hours ago? And how does our hero complete their journey? If you weren't sure, this is the power of friendship question. Kyle, go ahead.
75 hours. More like 275.
Yeah,
I hate it. Oh, I hate it.
You know how many dimensions there can be to jousting ostriches, Matt?
God, I hate
At least 2.
So many.
I really hate it.
Well, we haven't taken into account all the ostrich racing, which is a fun side mini game that's going to add another 100 hours to the mix.
Yep. That's the only way to get the ultimate weapon is winning 500 ostrich races in a row.
That's the Hearthstone of Joust. Like there is Joust, and then there is ostrich racing, the game that lives within Joust.
I think so. Another tangent before I dive in. Spyro 3 had this weird like skateboarding mini game.
Oh, it did. Yeah, it was awful.
Oh, I think I spent more hours in that mini game than I did on the rest of the game in Spyro.
That's funny.
But all right. So my final cutscene. You've made it. You've ascended Mount Talon and made it to the great pterodactyl's lair, ready to avenge your father. You draw your father's lance, square up on your ostrich mount, and prepare for battle. The beast lets out a bone-shaking screech, but does not attack. You stand ready and confused when you see an imposing figure walk out from behind the pterodactyl. Through the fog, you start to make out details. Heavy ornate armor, a commanding posture gained from countless victories, and the seal of the king's army. It's your father, still alive.
Ding.
He tells you what happened. He staged his death with his actual mount, the Pterodactyl Lord, so he could retreat to the mountains to plot his usurping of the king and rule the realm with the might of the pterodactyl flock.
Wait, I thought your father was the king.
No, he was a general in the king's army.
Okay, cool.
So he offers you your position back as his squire, offering you the chance to rule the realm terrifyingly as father and son. Without saying a word, you mount your ostrich companion, raise your father's lance and raise your father's lance against him. He bows his head, whispers, "I had hoped it wouldn't come to this, but no one can stand in my way." And he mounts his pterodactyl, draws his new terrifying lance against you, and lunges to strike. The final battle has begun.
There's definitely lightning in the background.
Oh, yeah.
Lightning, lava, fire, all of it. It's all there. It's just everything. It's raining. It's terrible.
It's a Michael Bay fight scene.
Yes.
Kyle, important question.
Okay.
Do I have the option to join my father and just terminate the game and get a bad ending?
No, this is a non-reactionary cutscene.
Okay.
So this is
all choreographed.
Yes.
Okay. All right. That seems like a perfect place to put one of those questions where, like, why would I say no? If I say no, does it end the game? Can I end the game here? And then you accidentally end your game.
You're like, oh, all right.
I love when games do that.
Yeah.
When you've spent 200 hours in the game and then just don't get a satisfying ending because you picked the wrong thing like a dummy.
Yeah.
That's what we want here. Not the culmination of all your skills into this final challenging fight.
You got to do it for that Chivo, baby.
Yeah.
Well, you just got to make a save before that point. Like, that's when I played Fallout 4. I haven't pissed off any of the factions yet save. So I could always like go back and see what the other factions had to do.
Yeah.
That's your pre-murder save.
Yeah, like now I'm gonna go like build an army of robots and kill everyone. Now I'm gonna go help the railroad. I'm gonna go do whatever.
All right, cool. Well, that's an epic cutscene. I like it. I like the fire and the lava and the lightning and the such. Also, Dads on Pterodactyls. Cool indie band. Todd, go ahead.
That sounds like a group of like like boomer dads that ride their bikes around town. They call themselves dads on pterodactyls.
But they're really chill. Like they're into the whole like biker aesthetic, but they just go to like Chili's and on like a Saturday afternoon.
I kind of want to hang out with the dads on pterodactyls. Honestly,
it's the sequel to that Roadhogs movie with John Travolta and those other guys on motorcycles.
Wild Hogs.
Wild Hogs.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Not better, but yeah.
All right, Todd. Tell me about your
Matt. I got something for you. So you've slaughtered dozens of Qs. That includes Q-Bot, QT, Q-Zard, and honestly, even the fabled and surprisingly passive Q-Nicorn. And finally, you are facing down the alpha, Q-Bert, the one that took your family from you. Just as you slice the large neck, gullet, belly area thing of this Q, sending it back to the nightmarish hell it came from, something catches your eye. On the back of the Q-Bert's right leg, you see a branded mark. The mark is faded, but it's legible. It says, UGG Industries. No. UGG Industries, Quentin says out loud as he dials into Slick and Sam at HQ. But before he can ask more questions, Slick sounds off in the phone saying, "Now, Coily," as your beloved pet snake strikes you from behind.
Oh no!
You fend off Coily and ultimately strangle the life from the snake. But now you know the truth. UGG Industries are behind the creation of the Qs, and we're having you clean up their messes. They took your family, they set you up with a best friend turned double agent snake, and then used you to clean up their corporate science experiment messes, leaving innocent, scared Qs dead in your wake. You are nothing more than a pawn in their game. Now you're going to take the fight to UGG Industries to add just a few more bodies to the count. You have been the two-legged monster all along. Now there will really be no survivors.
Okay, Todd, important question for you.
Yes.
All of the buffs that you add to Coily throughout the game, does he have those buffs in the final fight against you?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Absolutely. And it is in that moment that you say that same shit to yourself out loud. There was a game called Eternal Sonata, which like you basically, like, spoiler alert if you haven't played this game from like 2008. In the end, one of the characters ends up being like the big bad. And I don't think it works that way because we never leveled that guy. But in the end, he's very powerful. And all I could think is like, wow, what if I like really buffed that guy? Like, how bad would this fight have been? Well, this is that fight. This is giant purple anaconda Coily is coming after you.
I have a question.
Yes, okay. Everyone.
You
and
said,
then I'm gonna unpack some of these characters so you get why they are here.
So what was the dark science that UGG Co was doing?
Plot.
They were trying to make boots.
Got it.
Plot. The perfect boot.
Plot was the plot was the dark science. I don't know.
Sure.
Genome experiment.
Human instrumentality.
I was gonna say
human instrumentality. Yeah.
There it is.
The power of friendship. Kyle, you had some questions.
Well, I had two questions, two cues, if you will.
Stop it.
I won't.
Stop it.
But we hit on one with how are you aware of how strongly you're ripping off Neon Genesis Evangelion? But two, when you strangle Coily, is it gonna like use that rumble feature on the controller so you really feel the life leave his body?
So you're playing this on Switch and you're encouraged to undock. You're encouraged to undock your Joy-Cons. And and they tease you into that by teaching you QuickTime movements every now and again. Like not a lot, but enough to like keep you engaged until this moment that you strike down Coily. And then you have to hold them. You have to hold them together like you're strangling this snake.
And it uses the motion plus or whatever it's called. So it
vibrates while the pulse is leaking out of your favorite snake. So on a very different note, so there was a Q-Bert like deluxe or reboot that came out for PlayStation.
Was there really?
And that is what, and that is when they released all the extra like skins for Q-Bert, which was a Q-Bot, a QT, a Q-Zard, which is a wizard, and then a Q-Nicorn. Like those were all like characters.
Okay.
Ugg is one of the bad guys in Q-Bert. There's Ugg, and then the other one is called Wrong Way. So couldn't really like.
You didn't want to name your your not evil company Wrong Way.
Yeah, I figured that's not that wasn't
a little
subtle enough. And then Slick and Sam were two green flame sludge-like things that kind of like got in the way. They were bad things you weren't supposed to touch. The big call. So Coily, your pet snake that follows you. Coily was literally this bouncing purple snake that would follow you.
Yeah.
It was always trying to like be like 2 steps behind you and try to cut you off. It was it was really the only pressing bad thing that you had to worry about when playing Q-Bert. Everything else I think had a pattern. Coily was just always following you wherever you went.
Gotcha.
I think there was a lot of interesting takes on the Q-Bert. None as good as the we must hunt the Q-Bert down. But if there's one thing that everybody could agree on, it was that everybody fucking hates the game Q-Bert.
Yeah, not one person was like, "Oh, I have fun." I think there was some people that are like, "Oh yeah, I remember Q-Bert." Jar, like they'd put the counter in the other jar.
Yeah, a lot of people would just be like, "Ugh."
So yeah, the final cinematic is that, but then you do get the last level is like you're taking down the UGG Industries. We're not doing like a Halo 2 finish the fight as Halo 3 bullshit. We're not doing that.
Can there be a post-credit scene where you find out it wasn't actually the Coily you spent the whole game with that you strangled, but an imposter, and the Coily you came to know and love is still alive? And
is better. Yeah, I think so.
You can play with him in the post game still.
Not to keep stealing things now from Fable 2, but yeah, like you're spoiler alert for Fable 2 if you haven't played it, your dog dies. And you can.
No.
Yeah.
Well, now I won't play it.
It's tough, but you can bring it back. It's actually really bad that you get one of 3 endings. You can either like get money, which is useless in the game of Fable. You can either do that which is like the bad ending. You can make the wish where you bring like all these people back that have died, which is supposed to be the good ending, or you can bring your dog back to life. So like your choice is like bringing thousands and thousands of people back to life, or you get your dog.
The obvious choice is your dog.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So, and if you
it's the only one with gameplay mechanics that are attached to it.
If you do the people one, what happens is there's like 100%, like swear to God, there's just more people in the town. That's all that happens. And so if you do that as like the good ending, then they did release DLC where you could use some sort of dark magic to get your dog back. Because I think enough people complained that they were like, hey,
I want the good ending and my dog.
Yeah. Oh boy. All right. Well, that was a weird little tangent that we went on into Spoilerville. Andrew, finish off Dig Dug for me.
All right. Matt, you've saved the local towns from the cutthroat raiders. You've befriended or murdered each major faction who is vying for control. And now it's time to amass your forces to take back the surface. So you give a very inspirational or terrifying speech to rally the troops, and you work alongside your commanding officers to lay out the strategy. You place the right talent to the right task. I took a couple of liberties and made up a couple of the factions. So you put the tech savvy, get ready for it. You put the tech savvy Astronef Collective, who are a bunch of tech nerds that are obsessed with steampunk, to deactivate the enemy's defenses, while you have the Garrison, which is a military organization made up of only men named Gary.
That's a weird pull.
Take the front line.
Good.
Your army is succeeding on all fronts. You've taken back a major encampment, and you've driven their leaders back to the primary base. As you take your final assault, you are welcomed by the monster leader, who is your father, Ataru Hori.
Remember how I said betrayal is the through line, the free space?
That's right.
That's the free space.
Ataru tells you that he led the incursion against humankind because he saw firsthand the seeds of chaos that his father had sown in his youth. And as one of the Driller's sons, which is a term that I just made up now because I have no other better way to refer to them as, he had long ago made peace with the monsters and vowed to help them get revenge against his father. He says once he can rid the world of Taizo's followers and of Hori City, humankind and monsterkind can finally live in peace. So, Matt, will you join your father in rebuilding a new world where monster and human live alongside each other? Or will you make their kind extinct and put a new faction in power?
Oh, sweet, I get a choice?
Yeah, that's what this is all about.
Oh man, so this is like it's what I've been working the whole game towards, or turn heel and go for world peace.
Exactly, which is how every one of these games end.
Yeah. I haven't played enough RPGs to know what the good answer is, but world peace sounds fun. What if I join my father?
Then you get some milquetoast ending where human and monsters live together, and the sky is blue instead of green or red. That was a Mass Effect 3 reference.
I was gonna say this feels like Mass Effect 3. Feels like Andrew's working through some hostility from the ending of Mass Effect 3 still.
I put in so much time.
This is almost a Knights of the Old Republic moment where it's like, well, I guess you can be evil now, and I guess you got to do evil shit. You're gonna make the Wookiee kill its friend.
Oh, that's so good.
Then Caden is just gonna leave because he's a baby.
It's Karth.
My bad.
He's Caden. Well, he's the same actor as Caden in Mass Effect. It's the same.
They were the same character. So they were babies.
You make Karth run into the woods and abandon him on this hostile planet.
We have done so many episodes that revolve around this idea of like, hey, Matt hates RPGs, let's make him judge an RPG episode. And I've never felt as outside of the group as I have in this episode.
Like, in that moment.
There's been a phenomenal amount of references that I've just not gotten. And I feel weird. I don't really like it. It's kind of a not great feeling.
To help you out, Matt, I haven't played Mass Effect or Knights of the Old Republic either. I've played Knights of the Old Republic, but only briefly. I can't ever bring myself to get past like the tutorial stage before I.
You'll never play it because it's so outdated at this point.
But so I'm with you. I'm equally lost and confused. I just know the ending of Mass Effect 3 was a massive disappointment for everyone involved.
We could do a whole episode about how angry
it massively affected me.
Shut up.
All right. Well,
shut up.
I want to get back on this podcast because I feel left out. So let's move on to the super secret bonus question. Okay, so we, the royal we, as in me and the fictional guys upstairs, decided that we didn't trust you to produce this game alone. So we've decided to make this a Kingdom Hearts and ram jam some pre-existing RPG characters into your story.
Hell yeah.
What production company will you team with, and how will their assets fit into your story? I will take your answers right after this.
Are you tired of the domestic discussions of the more pedestrian podcasts? Looking for a more enlightened way to talk about video games? Then look no further than Left Trigger, Right Trigger, the video game book club, where 4 hosts discuss the more sophisticated issues in games. Topics include
body parts,
Zelda,
The Division,
Hyperlight Tokyo Drifter,
good vibes,
Time Machine,
doing the biscuit faces,
being terrible,
Musapan sex dance.
The faces are terrible.
when the mouse is away, or when the cat's a mouse.
I can't tell white people apart.
My body is going to dissolve. I'm playing wine.
A gashapon is just a womb.
Man, this game's got hot orcs.
Left Trigger, Right Trigger, your video game book club.
Wow, that was really disappointing.
All right, and we are back. Friendly reminder that the super secret bonus this week is Make It a Kingdom Hearts. Ram jam somebody else's RPG elements into your new game. And who are you sticking in there? Kyle, go ahead.
All right. So you've just watched your father get carried off by a giant pterodactyl, believing him to be dead. You're beginning your squire's journey to avenge your fallen knight, and you head out on the road, and you get to the first town outside your village, and they recommend you check out this ancient school. There's a school nearby. They teach magic. They house mythical creatures of all types. And they think the people you talk to really think it would help you on your journey to avenge your father and slay this giant pterodactyl. So you go check it out. You head out that way, you check it out, and you wander through the woods, what is called the Forbidden Forest, and you come out on the other side to Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry.
Good.
And while you are too old to enroll as a student at 16, the groundskeeper takes you under his wing and shows you all the mythical creatures under his care, helps you train your ostrich mount, which you find is actually not just an ostrich, but some Harry Potter version of an ostrich now. And that's going to be your kind of home base for all your ostrich base upgrades for the rest of the game. Is you're going to check back in at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, and that's where you're going to do all your upgrading for the rest of the game.
I mean, that's cool, and I like it, and I played the Harry Potter RPGs, but like, you start at Hogwarts when you're 11, Kyle.
Yeah, that's why I said you're not a student, and you're just taken under the wing of this guy, because you've got to go avenge your father.
You said you were too young to enroll as a student at 16.
I meant too old, Matt.
Okay, all right.
Shut up.
Got
you know
it.
what I meant.
Okay, fine. Got it. Todd, go ahead.
Sure. So I'll just answer kind of the question straightforward and then paint the picture afterwards. So we will be partnering with Capcom because Capcom makes good games and they've got a pretty good. That's the most plain sentence you can make on a video game podcast. So some of the things that we're kind of drawing some inspiration from. So Capcom made Dead Rising, Okami, Monster Hunter, which obviously has some pretty good parallels here, Devil May Cry, and Marvel vs. Capcom games. And so Capcom will be adding, obviously, their ability to create these like scrawling, landscapes and dazzling effects, but they are going to cram in the Demon King boss of Devil May Cry 4. I think it was Urizen. Maybe that was it. It's a big old demon monster, and he'll be playing the role of the head of UGG Industries because your
metaphor for capitalism can't be too on the nose.
Well, but also because UGG in Q-Bert was this like flying little demon thing, so it just kind of feels right that the demon in the chair is a literal demon. Furthermore, to really drive it up and to take a page out of Kingdom Hearts, Quentin Bertram will be finding an ally with the one and only Frank Castle, the Punisher, because since Capcom made Marvel vs. Capcom, they also have the rights to the Punisher in this scenario that we have put together. So
I feel like Mega Man would have been such a better pool.
No,
as a Capcom
I want Angry Vengeance Dad. That's what this story is, and that's Angry Vengeance Dad.
I disagree. Agree to disagree.
You don't have to agree. You can be wrong.
Win in Rome.
These are a couple. These are whatever we called it, the flying pterodactyl dads, like just out there for vengeance.
That's Angry Dad Vengeance. Yours is Angry Vengeance Dad.
They are Angry Vengeance Dads. Yes.
I regret asking this question.
You should.
Andrew, go ahead. Do it to me.
Well, so unfortunately, we blew all our budget hiring Leonardo DiCaprio to voice Ataru Hori for those last 5 minutes.
Of course you did.
Of course we did. As these Oblivion games tend to go. So, because this is a Namco property, we're going to stick within the Namco family and pull the only more popular property known to Namco other than Dig Dug. And he's going to appear in one of the earlier missions. So once we've made our pact with our chosen faction, we get approached by a man wearing a yellow jumpsuit, and he asks you to help him save his town from being haunted by ghosts or being terrorized by ghosts. He introduces himself as Pac, so you have to go on a journey with Pac. Man.
Oh boy. Okay.
I was hoping you came up with an acronym for PAC.
No.
But when you started that, I was like, all right, it's Pac-Man. What's he gonna do with it? And there was no acronym, so I'm a little disappointed.
Patrick,
not as disappointed as Todd choosing the Punisher, not a Capcom property.
His full name is Patrick A. Chesterfield.
There it is. Thank you. That's all I needed.
His friends call him Pac because he hates himself.
Exactly.
I just liked the pack, comma, man. That was very good. All right. Well, I have decisions to make and things to ponder. So why don't you guys wrap this up? Give me a closing statement. So I have one last sentence to think about. Kyle, go for it.
Open world fantasy action platformer where you ride an ostrich and fight pterodactyls.
Tight. Todd.
Scale the house-sized monster to avenge your family, to use haptic feedback to strangle a snake.
Okay, Andrew.
Navigate through dimly lit caverns, blowing up zombies as they try to attack you.
All right. I like those taglines. Those are all very good taglines. I'm going to go consider those taglines while you guys give some good vibes.
I'll start because I'm first. Todd, I very much like the Q-Bert as an eldritch monstrosity. I like the Shadows of Colossus kind of angle to it. That's all very good. And Andrew, I very much enjoy the weird post-apocalyptic tunnel world you created. So Dig Dug can make sense as not just a silly early video game, but a real IP that has a story and characters. I liked both of your games, and I look forward to playing them at some point. Is what I'm saying.
Kyle, when I heard you were doing Joust, all I could think about was some sort of like Mad Max style world where they have to fight from the back of ostriches. And so I was glad yours was a good bit more civilized than that, with like, I don't know, a society and like a kingdom, and not just for some reason we've
not
devolved.
The third post-apocalyptic game in this episode.
Well, yeah, because in my head the natural conclusion was, for some reason we've devolved to just riding ostriches, I guess. But no, yours was very, very good. And
we've run out of gasoline, so the only option for transportation is ostriches.
Andrew, I really, really liked yours. I could have taken more time hearing more about the science of blowing up things with air. But
worry about it.
Also, I don't want that, because I think that's how it goes when we talk about the hook shot and how it works. We spit in the eye of God when we ask those questions.
There are 438 journals that you can find throughout the game that will tell you the exact science of how the air gun works and how it kills enemies.
What? Okay.
And if you find them all, you get a golden air gun that doesn't give you any improvements, but it's gold.
But it's just what you can take a picture of and post it for people to see.
Yes.
Yep. It's because one guy at the studio was like, hey, look what I did.
Yeah, one person was like, hey, if we add in this one feature where we give them a gold skin, that's going to increase playability by like 3,000% for like 20 people.
That's accurate.
But yeah, those they were both very good. There aren't many times we get to the finish line and I feel good about everything we did today, and this is one time.
Yeah.
This was a very fun show and tell.
It was.
I enjoyed this incredibly. So we talked a little bit about the show, but I wanted to cover off quickly on some of the audience reception. So I think, generally speaking, Dig Dug was the favorite. I don't think there was any question there. A lot of people really gravitated toward like exploring. Sorry if I'm stepping on your toes at all, Matt, but a lot of people took to exploring Underground. That was like a pretty easy. My personal favorite, and Todd and I pushed very, very hard for Q-Bert, because, and that was kind of how we like got a lot of people on board with the idea of the show, was the idea that Q-Bert is a menace and must be stopped. There was one thing I was hoping you kept saying at the show, which I was hoping would come out today, was your impression of the guy who's like takes 2 puffs of a cigarette. Eyes sunken in.
It's the Q-Bert again. It's always the Q-Bert.
So good. The other side of the fence, I'll tell you what was a hard sell was Joust.
Yeah.
Joust didn't have a lot of love. It had more love than Duck Hunt, but it didn't have a lot of love.
Well, and I think the thing with Joust is people thought about, like, either they weren't very familiar with it, but then once they thought about it, they're like, oh, what do you do? And I was like, wait a second.
Yeah.
You're telling me you can't make a video game out of literal people jousting from the back of ostriches, like you wouldn't play that redone.
It's definitely not as iconic as Q-Bert and Dig Dug.
Yeah.
But I don't think anybody took it in the direction that you did, Kyle. And I think if they heard that, it would have changed the conversation. Because, like I said, that was my favorite version of Dragon Quest. That could actually get me to play Dragon Quest. So yeah, awesome job for all of us, but for both of you, that was really fun.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll jump in here at the end of Good Vibes and say, if there's one thing that this episode has taught me, it is that if you have played enough RPGs, you need absolutely nothing to write your own RPG. Because we took 3 games with no elements of RPGs, and you guys created 3 games that I would very much like to watch someone else play on the internet. I would never play these games, but I'd watch them.
A common pastime in the Harper household was Derek and I just like bouncing ideas off each other on like what the next Pokemon game should have that it doesn't, and like doing that with just all the RPGs and games we've played. So this isn't untread territory for me. It's a lot of fun because everyone who plays RPGs also hates the RPG they're playing and wants to fix it in so many ways, and that's what we all did.
Yeah, I very much liked all these games. I thought all of your ideas were very good, which is super not what I'm used to, which is a nice breath of fresh air from this podcast. So I enjoyed that a lot. Unfortunately, I do have to make a decision, so we'll start from the bottom. Todd, you're out. Sorry.
Well,
I'm gonna give it on one thing and one thing alone, is that you stuck to your original game less than Andrew and Kyle. And for that reason, I had to pick an arbitrary thing to eliminate you for, and that was it.
That's fair.
Also, I hated your play style the most. Your answer to question 2 made me angrier than everybody else's.
Seems a little personal that you couldn't have stopped at 1, but all right.
Nope. You should give him add in more menuing. That should help.
Yeah.
You know what? Yeah, we're gonna have a menu system, but it's like to leave the menu, you to approve your changes, you have to press B in this menu.
You start by going to a menu to pick what menu you want to go to, and it's just menus all the way down.
I am actually. Oh, that's the new John Green book, right?
Yes.
I am actually sick, and it was the word menuing and the word gear grinding that did it to me.
That's fair.
So that leaves me with Andrew and Kyle. And hot damn, I really like both of those games. I really like both of those games a lot.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah. Andrew's Dig Dug set in a Fallout universe. Very, very good. Really enjoy it. I like all of the subtle nods to the original game. I like all of the deep lore that you pulled. I felt very good about that. Very weird, but very good.
I was today's Matt.
You were. You pulled me, and I liked that. And Kyle, man, way to take Joust and just make it an RPG. You just did a really good job with today. I have a lot of fondness for Joust because it's one of my favorite arcade cabinets. Also, it has a really big part in the book of Ready Player One, which is one of the 4 books that I've read in my life. So, yeah, to make a decision is really hard, and I'm going to make this decision on the super secret bonus question and the super secret bonus question alone and say, Andrew, you have won today. Inserting Pac-Man was really great, and it made me laugh.
Yeah.
Kyle, you were so close. Man, you were as close as you could have come, but you just didn't do it with me for the Harry Potter drop. Nice.
That's fair. That's fair.
And with all that being said, thanks for listening in to Debate This. Follow along with the argument on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at DebateThisCast, and check out our website at debatethiscast.com. If you like what you hear, please leave us a review so more people can hear our nerdy, dumb, retro reboot of the show. Until next time, I'm Matt Cole.
I'm Kyle Ostrich Mount Harper.
I'm Todd. Haptic feedback is meant to stimulate strangulation. Nintendo, you cowards. Thomas.
And I'm Andrew, still mad at Mass Effect 3's ending. Henderson.
Saying thanks for debating with us. And if you think we're wrong, then you can come fight us behind the swing sets, nerds.